The Boy from Yesterday, Chapter 3, Fascination with the Latest. Emily peppered Laurel with questions too fast for Laurel to answer them all. So, what did he say about taking you to his father's lake house? Are you gonna go? Is Gran gonna let you? Do you want to go? Laurel sat, saying nothing for a moment, trying to sort in her mind in what order she wanted to answer the questions, always a little overwhelmed by Emily's enthusiasm. She was about to say something, anything, to respond to Emily's litany, when the front door of the Rocket Diner opened again and TJ breezed in, dumping his backpack on the floor and plopping down in the booth next to Emily, as Emily automatically scooted aside to make room for him without taking her eyes off Laurel, poised to ask still more questions. TJ always seemed to look like something more out of a trendy fashion magazine than someone off the streets of Chesterfield. He was always perfectly color-coordinated in his clothes, and he had flawless, mocha-colored skin. He stood out a little, but the town was used to seeing him. He had the black male version of Laurel's natural beauty. Emily and Laurel both secretly envied TJ's smooth skin and wondered how he found all those clothes that were a little too fabulous for Chesterfield. TJ always drew curious looks from women and some men on Main Street, which TJ was quite aware of, but never showed it. He was going to teach the Philistines of Chesterfield a thing or two, even if he stood out. Emily, on the other hand, didn't have Laurel's natural beauty, and whatever beauty she had was hidden by black horn-rimmed glasses that seemed too large for her face. Her hair was long and brown, but somehow nothing like Laurel's. She was intelligent and opinionated, with questions in every class she took, and wasn't anything like the unassuming small-town parents she came from, who lived just a few blocks away from campus on the other side of Chesterfield. She was a native to Chesterfield. Emily loved having friends who weren't, and found their perspectives refreshing. As smart as she was still excitable and seemed to love all the gossip. Emily continued her litany, and Laurel answered the questions one at a time, but TJ was good at a feigned nonchalance. He preferred to sit back and watch the folly of mere mortals and issue occasional commentary from his perspective atop Mount Olympus. Still, he had charm, and everyone who knew him trusted him implicitly, even if they silently resented, just a little, the tendency he had to be always right. He enjoyed being with Emily and Laurel, and he thought about how grateful he was for their friendship, even as they occasionally bickered about something, usually a guy. He watched Laurel as she shook her head and rolled her eyes at Emily's rapid-fire series of questions. "I just don't know," Laurel said. "Christian is great. He's great. It's just that I really want to get straight A's this semester because it will help with scholarship applications for next year, and it's all just a little distracting right now. I have this test," and TJ interrupted. "Oh, Swami's test? You know, Raj Patel is in that class, and he's from Bangalore, and he swears that Kapoor excuse for a professor's accent isn't from any place he's ever heard before. I still think he's an alien trying to masquerade as a human, thinking that we won't know the difference. And girl, that test is nothing. Kapoor takes it all from his lecture notes, I heard. And he hates grading the quizzes, so he makes them easy, just to lure you into a false sense of security. And then he lets you have it on the final, just to be sadistic. I got all this from Tony Littlefield, who had Kapoor last semester. I even got examples of questions from the exams. It's all the basic stuff, no surprises. You'll do fine. He just mixes up the same questions from the same test years ago. I'll fix you up. You can borrow my notes." "Hey, how did you get all that from Tony Littlefield?" asked Emily, cocking her head with a perplexed look on her face. "I blew him, okay?" TJ shot back, which Emily just shook off because she didn't know if he was serious or not, but it was already more information than she really wanted to know. She told TJ, "Zip it, will ya? I'm trying to get the deets on last night," as she turned back to Laurel. "There isn't much to it," Laurel said, ignoring TJ's confession. "You know, Christian, if it's not about politics or business or what his parents tell him to think, there isn't much else. And this new watch he got, he said it's some big deal, but it just looked like a watch to me." "Was it a Rolex? Oh my God, I wonder. Tell me it was a Rolex, or the new Tag Heuer chronograph." Emily leaned across the table, clearly more excited about Christian's watch than Laurel was. That family probably buys fake Rolexes and tells everyone they're real, TJ said, or steals them from other rich, spoiled, obnoxious families. I think they all know each other. I'll check it out the next time I see Christian and Peter. He can't hide that shit from me. I can spot a fake Rolex a mile off. Peter Burrows was TJ's boyfriend of late, who had a dorky voice, but spiky dark hair and heavy whiskers that TJ thought were sexy. For all of Christian's conservatism, he didn't mind having a gay roommate. He thought he could ask him fashion advice. But Peter wasn't very good at that, for he was more of the gay nerd type. He and TJ were an odd couple, but they say opposites attract, and it was certainly true in their case. The rather quiet Peter and the outgoing TJ seemed to balance each other out, especially when TJ was going on about something, as he was now. That whole Tuckerbee family is as fake as Agnes Murphy's daughter's boobs, TJ continued, and Pistian is the fakest one of all, he said, sipping his coffee to accentuate the statement. He paused as he set the cup down. But he does make a good martini, I'll give him that, but I think girlfriend's had a little too much practice with that, if you know what I mean. Girlfriend would drink your perfume if he knew the alcohol content, he said, with a cocked eyebrow and a knowing glance to Emily, as he sipped the coffee again. Did he tell you what his big plans to take over the world are this week? They change often, you know. He's nothing if not consistent with his inconsistency. But I swear, she is hell-bent on world domination. Then turning to Laurel, you didn't know that? I swear Peter sees a side to him that you don't. Laurel had had enough. You guys, I don't know. If he wasn't talking about his watch or his car, he wasn't making much sense. Our relationship was great for a while. He was really sweet. He got me through all that rough time with my mom, but he's just not the same anymore. I don't know, one minute he's sweet, and the next is just so all about him. He's there, and then he's missing a lot. I can't rely on him. No, not when he's... She paused, wondering whether to really say this. Doing whatever he's doing... Emily didn't get it. What do you mean? You mean like drugs or something? Him? Laurel shook her head. I don't know. I can't tell. It's just that sometimes he's sweet, this gentleman, and sometimes he'll just cancel the last minute when we were going to hang out. It's just all about him. TJ rolled his eyes. You'd be all about you, too, if you were actually the Lord King Center of the whole universe, which Ape for Brains thinks he is. I swear, Elle, you can do better, TJ said. Date the homeless guy from Maine and 7th on the bus bench. It couldn't be any worse. Better, actually. I've talked to that dude. He asked me where I got my shoes and called me Dapper. He was cool. I bought him a sandwich, he said, obviously getting more and more distracted. Hey, whatever happened to that other guy, the dorky one, but kind of cute with the hair from American History? Laurel nodded because she knew who he was talking about. Corbin or some shit. In 10 years he'll be a millionaire, but his head will still be able to fit through the door. Unlike Mr. Christian Tuckerbee of the enlarged ego Tuckerbees of Chesterfield, thank you very much, he said as he cocked an eyebrow again with another coffee sip. He set the cup down and added, and he better lend me that suit tonight for Chesterfield Day. You know that's coming right up. Something about all that doesn't add up, Emily said. He always seems so together, but now that you mention it, he does seem to cancel a lot, Elle. Maybe he's working on his abs. Have you seen his abs? I never notice his abs. I'm too busy noticing his great ass, but also for his lack of crotch, TJ replied to Emily, then turning back to Laurel with, Oh, sorry, Elle. TJ realized he might be hitting too close to home for Laurel, and even he, TJ, the one who says just about anything, was about to blush. Mean martini or no, color me unimpressed. Even they were supposed to hang out this week because he begged me to advise him on some t-shirt line he wants to develop. I told him to make it dinner at his house. Not that I'm interested in delivery pizza or whatever he'd do, but only to see Peter if he's at the house. That's worth the trip. Girl, bag the pizza. The only topping I want is... Tej, jeez, Emily said, shaking her head and really blushing this time. TJ just gave a sly smile as he took another sip of coffee and winked at Laurel. Thanks, guys. I appreciate the, analysis, but I gotta go, Laurel said, downing the last of her coffee and looking at the time on her phone. I'll see you at lunch if you're at the Commons. Then I'll be studying at the library around 2. I'll let you know if he texts me in class. We're supposed to go out tomorrow night. With that, Laurel tossed a few singles on the table and put the salt shaker on top of them to weigh them down, collected her purse and backpack, and was gone out the front door, calling back, "Tell Trixie thanks!" TJ watched her leave with the still cocked eyebrow and turned back to Emily. "I still don't know what she sees in him. I really don't," TJ said as he carefully inspected his fingernails for some kind of flaw, which he never seemed to find. They ought to use him as a model for a combination of art class model and science fiction specimen to draw an alien life form that breathes and stumbles but has no discernible central nervous system. He's never going to get that t-shirt line off the ground. He's way too ADD for that. But I'll give it a shot. Poor soul. Pathetic, really. "An art model?" sighed Emily, dreamily looking off. "Preferably nude. That would be perfect. I can't even draw stick figures, but sign me up." TJ remained eyebrow cocked and lowered his chin to give Emily a warning look. "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's shit-for-brains boyfriend," he cautioned in a mock low tone, shaking his head disapprovingly and giving a quick nod to the empty space across the table where Laurel had just sat. "I read that somewhere. You know, if he fails at being an art model, he'd make a great doorstop," and proceeded to check the nails on his other hand as he keyed in the password to his iPhone with the other. "The only thing he does well is have good taste in roommates," he said. "And Mr. Peter Burrows had better be in chem today or I'm skipping it," he added with a glance up to Emily with a sly smirk that implied TJ's silent, lewd thoughts. That made Emily blush all over again.